afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting and everything amazing Propagandacast. I'm your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda, here off-site defender of the fatherland, off here till 1 vs 1 on Arnhem Checkpoint. In the north, it is Jove, fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland, taking on the role here of the 24th Panzerdivision, versus in the south, it is Mr.Nobody, fighting for the Soviet Union, Comrade Stalin, and marching out here for the 26th Guards Tank Corps. We got Jaeger armor, we got elite troops, and we got mechanized assault here for Jove with triple infantry versus shock rifle, airborne troops, and counterattack tactics with triple infantry as well there. Double conquest start there for Mr. Nobody. Grenadiers, MG42s there for Jove. Mr. Nobody swiftly rushes towards his enemy engineers and conscripts. Westwards bound there we find Jove with pioneers, MG42s, and grenadiers. Conscripts floating eastwards there as well. So it's clear here Mr. Nobody's aiming for a disruptive start against Jove. He's looking to sort of throw off Jove in the early game, slow down his resource income, while of course at the same time securing himself resources. If of course successful, great, but if it fails, he might find himself in a slightly tougher spot here depending on how Jove proceeds. But there you go, engineer spotted there. Snowball was trying here to wire off the entrance here, so Jove continues to make use of the house here against Mr. Nobody, but of course with the infantry already there, seems like Jove might already slightly anticipate it, but still he is trying to sort of disrupt Jove's early game, slow down his fuel income, while of course trying to secure himself as much fuel as possible in the process. More comes from the way there for Mr. Nobody and the Red Army. MG42 they're repositioning again. Note again the fluid machine gun play there. Now of course a big reposition, we're still trying to sort of shift it more actively to deal with the enemy. He's popping in here, back and there, partly just to keep a track on Jove, but also in case he tries to rush the house, he can just look quickly denied right in front of him. Graham the car point here needs to be a bit careful. But he was clearly hoping to just make it a bit harder here for Jove to gain control of that area. But no dice there. Grenadiers bringing in pioneers in the move as well there. Third comes squad out there. It's coming slowly here in the east as well. So again, Mr. Nobody's disruptive opening is continuing here versus Germany. So far getting a bit more resources than Jove. Not a lot, but just a tad more. So not too shabby there. It's going to have the fuel point there soon. Fourth comes on the way there for Mr. Nobody, securing the western point here. So it's also quite clear that while he's hoping to continue the pen, at the same time he's not going to commit too many resources other than too much manpower, which of course makes a lot of sense. It doesn't work, if he doesn't need to grab territory elsewhere. I mean, that just means he's not going to catch ahead of Joe here. But looks like the pin's finally going to break up here for Mr. Nobody. Though again, he has probably bought himself a few extra minutes of resources here against Joe, and that could prove to be, crucial here. Note, by the way, that Jove actually began shifting away from it, perhaps realising that Mr. Nobody was not committing a lot of forces to the pin, to actually switch eastwards, possibly to also just hit the eastern side, where he realises, hang on, if my opponent is committing an X amount of forces towards my card off, that might mean his eastern side is actually quite exposed. So right there, I think Jove made an interesting and probably good read here, though of course it could be proven to be wrong. To sort of hit the east, of course, it does mean he's still not leaving a lot of force to defend the west, which is now where Mr. Nobody perhaps is realising he needs to push harder. So there's a lot of mind games going on between these two players, obviously both experienced veterans of company heroes too. Engineer setting out here, back in base for Joe, no tech up yet. He might go for another Grenadier squad or another MG42. That could help maintain a bit more control there, but there you go, going for the car front, pushing up eastwards Grenadiers and MG42s, though again losing control is slightly to Mr. Nobody in the west. Back here we got medics up for Mr. Nobody and the Red Army, the 26th Guards Tank Corps. Car front being hit, pioneers retreating, take up there happening for Jove and Germany. Digging in here to make it harder for Jove to secure the eastern fuel point there safely. But getting slightly caught there, machine got the point is secure. Going to move on to help deal with the conscripts, or at least cover the flanks here. Conscript moving for the more points here. Jove remains here to defend the fuel point, needs to keep it out of Mr. Nobody's hands for as long as possible. In this regard, basically again, Jove just figured he's going to hit hard east, and again just try and buy as much time in the west and to deny his opponents much fuel. Of course, he's not being hit here on the other card point, so Joe's going to double back to recapture that one. And of course, he's then hitting the card point here to return the favour to Mr. Nobody. So both players are aggressively trying to outmaneuver the other one, trying to shift forces as tactically and strategically about as they can, so that way, edge ahead on the battlefield. So this is quite an interesting fight there, grafting it off. Sadly, in this case, he was expecting Mr. Nobody to fall back, and Mr. Nobody else wasn't paying attention, was figuring that, and so didn't retreat. Take up down though, bunker rolls up, but he lacks some munitions. He's going to move down the pioneers down for the car point. Conservatives retreating right past the Grenadiers, and neither side is actually getting a lot of resources now. I mean, both sides have essentially been cut off from the vast majority of their holdings. That's interesting as well. I mean, this is a very fascinating fight so far. More engineers on the way there for Mr. Nobody. Medic bunker can be upgraded right about now. And I imagine there we go, he's going to go for it. We'll have to see when he goes for the light mechanized company. You could, of course, with the tech, just go for Panzer Grenadiers, and there we go. Straight into some hard infantry of the 24th Panzer Division. Grenadiers on the far here from the engineers and the conscripts. Grenadiers moving up. Bit of skirmishing there. Panzer's got almost down there for Jove. And got Grenadiers on the fire here. Need to retreat the Grenadiers pretty soon. Before that's too late. Now it's going to move towards here. Of course, we got Mr. Nobody already dug in there. Making it harder here for Jove just to push through there. Good work. Pushing through the centre now as fighting seems to be sort of stabilising around there. Of course, got an MD42 coming the flank here. Some ways a bit bold there by Jove to leave machine gun unattended, but it can work out there somewhat. And in this case, did bait in Mr. Nobody with one unit there. Though, of course, the flank is further exposed here, though. Jove was quick to realise that tomorrow's going to be squad to basically block any further flanks in the machine gun hit. At least make them harder. Panzer's moving in here. Back here, reinforcement. Nothing further going in there for Jove. No light mechanized company as of yet. And no. Oh, there we go. Got it building up. He might also want to choose a doctrine. So I mean, he could go for elite troops just to get G for the feast on this gun. That was going to give him a bit of extra help here versus Mr. Nobody's troops. And now it looks like they're going to be switching sides once more. Mr. Nobody sees the east, and Jove reclaims the west. Mines up there in front of the entrance there to the restaurant. Nice work there by Mr. Nobody. Like to make a nice company done. Probably going to be a 2-2. They could go for the 250 on halftime. Both are options, and we do get the 2-2. Back here's the pump coming out from Mr. Nobody. Might be planning field guns or whatnot. Panzer's moving about here. I think he could be setting up for deep flank here on Mr. Nobody's position by the fuel point. Hard to say exactly what's going on there in Jove's mind. 2-2 though, slightly getting down there for Jove and the 24th Panzer Division. There we go with the Panzer moving out the bar. Now, this played out the console, and then the gun is joining in, forcing the retreat from the northwest, allowing Jove to capture that one without really having suffered much. More mines being laid down. Mr. Nobody looking to mine off the centre, not a bad move at all. So far, though, both players are very much in edge against each other. Field gun away from Mr. Nobody. That's on hit versus armour and to an extent light vehicles. And we got sandbags up there. Joe showing that he too can lay down mines. Oh, sandbags, not mines yet. I don't think he's laid down mines, though. Hopefully he does. Well, for his sake, obviously. Mr. Nobody, I'm sure, is of the opinion that it would be best if Joe was never to lay down any mines. Punch down game, comes got close backed up with the 2-2, and of course that's going to give Mr. Nobody a bit of a harder time since he's currently got no anti-tank weapons. Not even. Oh, he does have anti-tank grenades, but that's obviously not going to stop the 2-2 very hard there. The skirmishing in the east, MD42 moving up. Finally, for the car point happening, we got the conscripts field going up here through the west. 2-2 with Panzer going to be Unterstützung moving about in the west. The fuel point reclaimed here for the Germany in the west. In the east, though, Jove is definitely looking to just disrupt Mr. Nobody's fuel flow. Very good. Back here, reinforcement. Might want to consider getting up a support tank battalion command up soon. Though he is first committing to a Maxim to help deal with any infantry, which is also a good investment, though. And there you go, doctrinal choice out for Mr. Nobody. It is shock rifle frontline tactics. Not too shocking, really, but can be effective in the hands of a good player who knows how to handle the different elements. Oh, what is this? We actually got an ambushed field gun. You rarely see that one, actually. So there we go. There you go, direct hit on the SIS-3, or 2-2 there, might be able to take it out. Joe clearly was not anticipating an ambush field gun because, honestly, who uses that? No one, except Mr. Nobody. So, well, I guess Mr. Nobody is no one. Ha ha ha. Anyways, engineers are out of here by the Grenadiers in the east. Maxim, they're transferring to the chips. There you go, engineers popping in instead. They obviously won't be able to defeat the Max, well, theoretically they could. But, it's a bit unlikely. Moving in there, field gun bombarding. Oh, snap! Direct hit, killing two of the pioneers. He's trying, I think, to buy time, but I don't think he can quite work out there from. There you go, Maxim popping in, taking a few hits there from his own field gun. And the West comes to advancing, gun Panzer's falling back. They're going to squad left hold the line. No upgrades there for them. We got another squad upgraded, being slowly moved westwards. East secured once more here by Jove. Note how both players are constantly looking to sort of switch axis of attacks. They're not necessarily just looking to just keep bashing a wall down using their heads. They're actually looking to, you know, gain a tactical advantage by outmaneuvering the other fellow, and in that regard they sort of keep switching from fuel point to fuel point. So in this regard, it to an extent is going to depend on who's more flexible and fluid and more mobile. So that's going to be quite a test there of both players. We got Telemark by there on the road by Jove, very nice spot there. The Telemina or plate mine, which was, well, obviously an anti-tank mine, but it did have some flexibility since it could also be detonated through other means. So it actually meant the Germans would use it as a demolition charge, in particular on the Eastern Front. So they just toss it into an advance of the Soviet infantry and just pull the cord and boom, off it goes. There was also a trick where they'd actually attach them to a board, sort of put tie a string to that board and then pull it out in front of a tank, so that way just, you know, suddenly hit the mines. So that was a little trick there up from the Germans. We got elite troops out here, and we got Stormtroopers putting Jove now at 5 infantry squads. Stormtroopers around with MP40s, very good. Access to G45, of course, all being available here for Jove and the German army. The German army in World War II didn't have actual stormtroopers, though the German army sort of on a basic level was organised around stormtrooper tactics from World War I. So a little fun fact there. Continuing about there, stormtroopers trying to get close enough with the use of cover there and hold fire to sort of get within proper range. And there you go, moving up behind the counter, there you go, popping tactical assault, very good, or tactical advance. I mean, it's kind of the same name, some of the same effect, but of course, in the end, not quite the same name. The American one is the tactical assault, this is tactical advance, but oh, they largely do the same. But then it's right in there, field and also putting back there. Mr.Nobody obviously doesn't want to get that one hosed down by the Germans. Infantry. Tease on the way there for Mr.Nobody. Hopefully he doesn't hit that telemine. I mean, that'd be great for Joe, though. That'd be great for Joe, but I'm sure Mr.Nobody would find himself a tad disappointed in that development. Here in the east, going to lead for conscripts, got a concussive grenade off there. Stunning the conscripts and forcing a rout there. Nice uses over there by Jove. Already used 2 abilities out of 5. G for the fuse. Oh, not like machine guns only. No G for the fuse. We've got take over there for Joe. That's very good. T-70 almost done here for Mr.Nobody. Well, obviously he's going to try and stall for the eyes too. We will try and go for medium armor here versus Jove. And had it been Joseph Soviets, he could have probably tried going for the KV-8. So we'll let us see what ends up here with Mr.Nobody. But Joe's definitely shown himself having a quite big fondness as a late for the KV-8. T-7 light tank out here though for Mr.Nobody. Rolling ahead for the Red Army. Quick concussive grenade there. Engineers routed. T-70 setting out. Gunneries routed. The engineers using the eastern fuel point. Panzer there being about to assault it. Maybe this is the sandbags they've done with Mr.Nobody there. Not too shabby, but lacking anti-tank weapons. So they're going to find themselves hard pressed here by Mr.Nobody's T-70. And routed by Mr.Nobody's T-70 aggressive play there. We got the Pack-40 joining in though. Centrewards getting conscripts ambushed, awfully close to the telemine. And these got Gunners being surrounded slowly by Mr.Nobody's infantry. Maxim's opening up from several sides on the Gunners, who are trying the best of the light machine gun to force away the Soviets. Booby trap on the car front. Nice work there by Jove. Hey Petrov, look, a bottle of vodka. Oh god. Oh no, they got Petrov. He was trapped. Storms running ahead. Which did remind me, I think at some point the Germans did consider actually laying up the statues of, well, antifreeze or spiked or poisoned vodka for the Russian troops to stumble upon. I think they dropped that one. And he's moving up, backed up by the T-70. They need to retreat. Though there was actually an issue with the Soviet army and antifreeze. That's also fun note there. Conscripts standing about here. So Paul McCart there for Joe. He can go for the Panzer IV. He could all try and go for an Ostwind here versus Mr.Nobody at the current moment, or he could go for the Stug. Comes there being suppressed by the MD-42 inside the house here. The restaurant, though of course there's still the mine in front. Pack 40 covering up here. Support McCall almost done there for Jove and Germany, and the East taking the least of the fuel planet attempting to. Mr. Nobody striking hard east and west. T7 moving up, engaging Panzer's Grenadiers. Machine gun being pushed out. Mine actually not detonated. Ooh, T7 then nastily hit the Asymmetric own conscripts. No kills. And the mine got spotted. Bit rubbish in the east. Conscript there failed by the Grenadiers' force attack, but we got the maximum opening up. Troops continue to hold up. They got the maximum. They're hosing them down with fire. And up and further north here we got Pioneers versus conscripts. Molotov off there against the Pioneers. Back here troops reinforcing and healing. Primarily healing to get down. We got the Panzer IV there. Almost down for Jove and the 24th Panzer Division. Maxim hauling ahead here. And another T-70 for Mr. Nobody. An interesting choice there. Might slightly indicate an IS-2 stall. Or something like that. I mean, normally you see double field guns, but I can certainly see double T-70s putting a lot of pressure there. And Jove, another booby trap there, very nice. But at the same time, I mean, I would say the timing for the same T-70 is a bit suspicious there. I think North's potential for a tank there from Jove. Since that point again, like, when Jove gets out of the Panther IV, Mr. Nobody's only got one field gun to stop it. I mean, the two T-70s don't do much. I mean, H-6M would have been much more useful there, obviously. So we'll have to see that. He's going to have to handle the T-70s quite well here versus oh shit, he's not quite cleared out the telemines yet. There's only potential they might forget about them and sort of run over them at another point. But there you go, moves in to sweep them. Good work there by the engineers, good work. Stormtroopers moving in, grabbing the northern point here. Back there for Mr. Nobody, more infantry setting up for the Red Army. I mean, he does plan on actually stalling here for the IS-2. I mean, he does mean he's not going to get the mobilized abilities with his conscript, and they're not quite going to be able to reach their full potential here versus Joe, which would be a bit interesting. Although we got the Panther IV out. I mean, Mr. Nobody's next step is going to have to be getting another field gun out here versus the Panther IV and whatever armor Joe might get against him. Conscript grabbing the point here. And Maxim dealing with Pentagonist and Grenadiers further up north here. We got 427 versus 456. Now the Sarge really lost a lot of victory points at this point. I mean, they've been able to sort of keep each other pretty sort of well in check when neither side really gaining any sort of long-term advantage. Quick hits there on the Panzer IV, pushing it back for a while at least. But both T-70s have been quite heavily damaged here by encountering the Joe's Panzer IV and will need repairs. So what will Mr. Nobody do next versus Jove, and what will Jove try to do to break this situation up? We got a mortar wave for Jove, that's going to be helpful for us to maximum some of the support weapons. Mr. Nobody bringing up a second field gun, that tends to be the signal that he's going to try and stall for the IS-2. I mean, usually any heavy tank stall, but it usually involve double anti-tank guns, so there's certainly every possibility there that Mr. Nobody is not going for it, but double field guns, I feel also double T-70s would certainly make it look awfully suspiciously likely. Noting no shock troopers though for Mr. Nobody. I think some could have been helpful for him. Could still be, honestly. We'll see. Bomb going off against the Maxim. Could see a wipe here against Mr. Nobody. Does he get out? Ah! Just as he took out of the door though, the last man died. T-70 striking the center, unleashing a whirlwind of fire there on the Stormtroopers, backed up with the Maximum side of the church. Almost taking out the Stormtroopers there, but they do get safely out of there somewhat. Panther IV joining in, good hit on the T-70 light tank here, mortar firing down the Maxim. Field gun there, trying to position there to deal with the Panther IV. Second one moving ahead as well here, backed up by a lot of infantry. Panther then watch, close to T2, point there ceased as well. And in the west we got here, conscripts versus Grenadiers as well. There's a lot going on there. A lot going on. Pioneers on watch there. Conscripts there. Backed up with the T-70 pushing back the Grenadiers in the west. We got the second T-70 moving in as well there. Trying to overwhelm the infantry. Of course, Jove is quick to dispatch the Panther IV to deal with this. Backed up with the Panther 40. I'm increasing chance of taking out a T-70. And looks like Mr. Nobody was not expecting. Oh! Well, about to say he got lucky there, but clearly Jove does not care for such words like luck. Luck is for Civic man. Und doubt is for dying. There we go, the T-zone there. About to go down into the Pan 4. Oh, got lucky there. Maybe, but there you go. Mr.Nobody pulling up both fields and engage the Panther 4. Direct it there. Down to less than half health using the T-zone to spot a hit. A bit ballsy, considering the Pack 40 still about. Could take out the Mr.Nobody C-70. Running his little spotting mission. There we go, damaging in the Panther 4. Mr.Nobody must have been able to take it up. We got pioneers rushing. We got a max machine gun also covering up there. The machine guns are quite effective at clearing out anti-tank guns, by the way. In the centre, Maximus is Grenadiers. In the east, fuel pond there being seized by the Grenadiers with the Panzer Squad there on watch. Right back up if it becomes necessary. Continuing ahead here with the T-7 providing scouting options there for the field guns. He really wants that Panzer 4 dead. We got the Pack 40 ready though. Storms was coming up as well. Mr.Nobody trying his hardest here, but Jove is certainly trying his hardest to keep it alive as well. And it's going to work out here and there. Go field gun straight into the flying fire of the Stormtroopers, allowing Jove's Panzer 4 to survive. Pack though got wiped out. Could be nice there for Mr.Nobody who seized it. Machine gun holding up the counter there, providing him up, preventing him in for spot. And there you go, Panzer 4 escapes, using the storms there basically to draw attention away. And now he's going to go for it again though. Can he get it, or will Jove actually survive with the Panther? We got another one on the way there though. Destroying the Pack 40, machine gun sitting up there next to it. South here, we got points being cut off there again. Panther going to do the very known health. Second Panther 4 halfway done. Mortified raining down. Lots of action here between Jove and Mr.Nobody. Neither side showing the other mercy. So Mr.Nobody now getting more victory point leader with Jove here and the 24th Panzer Division. Back here, troops in reinforcing. Mr.Nobody's base remains silent besides the march in the boots. Craft nail against engineers. And wiped a staggering blow there to Mr.Nobody. Contact maximum moving through the centre. We got another maximum there left behind. I mean, with the cannon so slow there though for Mr.Nobody now, it's just going to be very unlikely for the time being. He needs to work better defending his field flow there versus Jove. Jove looking otherwise well. I mean, he's got 2 Panzer 4s now. That is a significant advantage over Mr.Nobody's only got a single T-70 light tank. Field gun ambushing, landing a nice hit there on the sidearm of the Panzer 4. Good work. Back in Jove's base. Nothing else happening there. I mean, he could theoretically try and take up now. Maybe set up for the Tiger race. Mortar firing down, back here, troops reinforcing. Engineers on the way there for Mr.Nobody to help assist in repairing his arm, and of course, possibly do some other things like laying down mines and barbed wire, just grabbing stuff. Part of them immediately under fire from the maximum, had falling for the center direct hit here from the field gun, other one not quite nearby. Mr.Nobody lining up for another assault into these 3, claiming that one from the fascists once more. Field gun button here on the machine gun. Perhaps they're taking a minor casualties as well. The field gun is taking heavy damage from the machine gun in return. Doesn't help, it's exposed to the negative cover, making it even easier for the veteran machine gun crew to deal with it. And there you go, almost got the field gun crew. I mean, only 2 men survive, and they do so with the smallest of margins of health. Sending young people on against the T-70. Likely won't destroy it, but actually gains some extra experience, which might just make it more nice versus other things. I mean, again, it does slight damage. Pushing it down to half health, and actually has gained the ace level. Lots of fire there, pushing it back. Panther 4 those engineers, shots fired. Panther 4 pushed back, got a bit of smoke there. Which means the only things he needs to use is the G43s and the Tigers, and he's got full doctrinal bingo. Ooh, boom trap went off there, almost taking out the entire crowd. There you go, we got tactical advantage to finish off the survivors, and he hoses them down. Good work there by Joe. That was very cheeky and a bit bad news for Mr.Nobody. Panther 4 need repairs. Mortar slowly approaching Metany 2. Back here, troops in reinforcing. mortar fire raining down, Panther 4 mowing up here, but the lack of an increase of defense against it makes it easier for Jove to just put pressure there on Mr. Nobody. Flooding a bit of manpower here, we'll have to see what Jove's planning is. Fuel cache though could be a good idea. Bunkers could also be a great investment here for Jove. Certainly got a few choices versus Mr. Nobody. Got a few choices. Panther 4 roaming back, close to Veteran 2. Back here, troops are reinforcing for Jove. They're being assailed by Mr. Nobody's forces. Got the Panther 4, they're joining in the fun. Mr. Nobody is roughly 2.5 minutes away from an IS-2. As for Jove's plans, harder to say though again. You could go for a fuel cache or 2 take up and try and set up for a Tiger Ace. I mean, that could work out for Jove. Shoots, misses that, and we actually got shock troops out now for Mr. Nobody. I can't ever feel they're just a tad late, but you know, better late than never, as they say. Though again, I feel like Mr. Nobody could have benefited them maybe just a bit sooner. Constantly getting to the Panther 4. Draco's here. Seems like he's starting to concede the eastern side of the map here to Jove more and more often as he's pushing hard on the west here. Might be the Mr. Nobody starting to slightly tunnel vision here versus Jove, which if Jove realises this could be used to exploit any weaknesses there then in Mr. Nobody's setup and, you know, destroy him possibly. So we'll have to see where that ends up. Pushing to the centre with the T-70 infantry. More booby traps out there from Jove. Really consistent booby trap there by Jove, by the way. That is something you rarely see here, but Jove's just been using it all over the place. Need to retreat the stormtroopers. Oh, they're all in the middle of the point here. Oh, no, no, there's minesweepers. It won't set off. They won't set off. What a shame. That would be fun now. There's so many troops being bunched up right on top of a booby trap. But there you go. Panther 4 could go down to the field guns. Did pop smoke and he's quickly surging up behind the church. Nice maneuver there. Basically doing his best to minimize exposure there against any tanks. Machine gun, they're wiped out here. What is it, a mortar? Is the mortar there wiped out? Mr. Nobody, but it's not able to seize the engineers already under fire here from the Panther 4. Other Panther 4 moving about as well further up north. Roughly 2 minutes ago for Mr. Nobody. As for Jove, lots of manpower being flooded. I'm certainly starting to get a very big impression. He's going to go for the Tiger Ace versus Mr. Nobody. Engineers wiped out. Smaller loss here for Mr. Nobody in the Red Army. Mortar crew could also get wiped out there. Some of these flanking in here, taking fire from engineers. Literal fire. Back here, no take up yet though. Troops enforcing, healing up, all that. And there you go. Mortar wiped out. House collapses. No more restaurant. And there you go. Gunners moving about here, but they're quickly going to focus down all the consoles here from Mr. Nobody. A minute to go. Well, a bit more than that in terms of manpower though for the IS-2, but he's getting very close. He's getting very close. And, oh, Jove's got 2 Panther 4s to deal with that. Well, he could steal the field gun now, but Mr. Nobody though is quick to out that one. Contra though taking further casualties there. Brass grenades off. White once more within a matter of seconds. And once more nabbing it. Need to be careful over the infantry, of course, until he wants to get that IS-2 as soon as possible. He needs to be careful about not spending too much manpower, just constantly enforcing infantry. He just throws into the furnace of war here, so he has to be a bit more mindful with his manpower expenditures, because at this point the IS-2 is what he's been building up for such a long time. He can't really afford to you know, whiff that one. As for Jove, finally got that take up there, T4, so that's going to be Heavy Panzer Corps and then the Tiger Ace. But yeah, Mr. Nobody's more or less got the fuel. He does use the manpower, and again, the problem is he just keeps reinforcing stuff after he throws away the infantry in some less than stellar engagements, which is going to make it much harder for Mr. Nobody to get out the IS-2, and does mean that Jove might actually be able to catch up and actually hit him with a Tiger Ace before Mr. Nobody can go for the IS-2, despite, I mean, Mr. Nobody essentially not really doing a lot there in terms of teching compared to, again, Jove has more or less gone through the entire tech tree to get out his King Tiger. Oh, not King Tiger, Tiger Ace. Sadly, no King Tiger there. A Panzer Corps being built there by Jove. Pioneers hard to work. 4-8 was on in the night. Jove now seems to have suddenly gained a definite advantage there with Mr. Nobody. He's finally beginning to push eastwards again, but still I'm getting that sense of domination there. Next, and then pushing back the gun in the centre. Field gun creeping ahead very steadily there for Mr. Nobody. Heavy Panzer Corps almost done, and we. Oh, he can go for it right now. The Tiger Race. Well, he isn't quite going for it yet, so Mr. Nobody again, despite having been so utterly focused on his eyes too, is not going to get up before Joe with his Tiger Race. I think perhaps a slight flaw in Mr. Nobody's strategy as well in terms at least of execution. So now we got 2 Panzer Force on the Tiger Race rally for Joe versus 2 field guns from Mr. Nobody. The situation with Mr. Nobody definitely just got a lot nasty and a lot more harsh. He's going to have to work pretty hard, I think, to survive this. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's not going to be easy now. It's not going to be easy. Tiger Race rolling out there for Jove and the 24th Panzer Division, looking for targets to violently obliterate with its 8 hitting with a gun. And there you go, conscripts found themselves to be the prey before the mighty Tiger Race. If it could hit. In the west here we got Grenadier Stormtroopers with Shock Troopers, 7 kills already. Nice work there by Mr. Nobody with those. They're getting a good goal for them soon, I feel like. Stormtroopers holding up there. Grenadiers joining in. The Stormtroopers taking heavy damage here for the Stormtroopers up close. Got work there. Tiger Race helping secure territory in the east and the centre. Panzer IV hanging about. And there you go, incendiary barrage here in the hope to push out the machine gun. It does so, but the question is what further impact does this have on Jove forces in the west, and the overall impact beyond that seems to be pretty limited. It doesn't even prevent him from, securing the victory point there or defending it. He's booby trapping as well. Nice work there by Joe. I mean, good, consistent use of booby traps here by Joe is very much commendable. 2 thumbs up. Max one out in the centre, Panzer IV taking hits here. Mr. Nobody's getting very, very close to the eyes too. Though again, he will find himself rather undergunned compared with Jove's Panzerwaffe at the moment. There you go. Eyes 2 finally available here for Mr. Nobody and the Red Army. Oodah! Now we'll have to see if Pulse is going to do the job. Units right here by the MG42 in the west coming to these as well. Plus, of course, still got the Stormtroopers ready to spring the trap after the boob trap goes off in the face of anyone unfortunate enough to set it off. Constant right here by the Tiger Race. Panzer IV moving in. Eyes 2 setting forward here for Mr. Nobody. Going straight for the ace. Straight ahead for the beast. And I'm not entirely sure what happened. They took a re-armor hit as he turned the entire thing around there. Might have been a misclick or some pathing error. Oh, yeah, though, bad news there for Mr. Nobody. Great news for Jove. Got the ace under fire from the SIS-3 field gun. Troops trying to go in there, I think, to out the field gun, making it easier for Jove to win the rest of his armour. But as soon as there you go, Field is moving. Got the Tiger Race moving ahead. Got a Panzer IV joining in the side there. Shots fired, bouncing off the IS-2's frontal armour. We got 408, that's 199. Machine gun there versus the field in the west, forcing retreat there. Close one though for Mr. Nobody. Panzer IV landing directly on the IS-2, piercing its frontal armour. 408 versus 86. Mr. Nobody sadly is not making much progress now. He has been bogged down here against Jove and the German army. And there you go, GG, game over. Mr. Nobody surrenders, realising the fight is lost. So there you go, a nasty little fight here on Arnhem Checkpoint between 2 experienced players. Again, early game they were quite close. Neither player really gaining the upper hand for long, but then as the game went on, Mr. Nobody's strategy seems to encounter a few cracks here and there, struggling to sort of keep up pace. And I feel like the double T-70 was a mistake there by Mr. Nobody compared to Joe's just went for the armour. Plus, again, I feel like he should have gone for the shock trooper sooner. That probably would have done him a lot more good, I think, than the second T-70. And then as the game further went on, Mr. Nobody sort of, I think, lost the sight of the bigger battle and just kept focusing on a smaller part of the map, whereas again, Joe, I think, overall maintained good map control that way. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it, tell your friends, tell your family, but don't tell your enemies. This is Imperial Linking. Cheers. Thank you for watching. You're all a wonderful audience. Hope to see you all tomorrow again for a nice episode. Bye.